As you can see, we are ready to do us a little bit of a tune-up on the truck. It's kind of a cool, blustery day here, so we get to fight with the wind. Hello, Dougie. You going to be the helper today? This will be the vehicle we'll be working on today. It's the '89 Nissan. This kind of a job is one that's easy enough for a novice to do. This is what this video will be primarily aimed at. This is a job that if you take a little bit of time, make sure you're systematic in how you get the job done to avoid mistakes. You can do this yourself within an hour, maybe two, and save yourself a couple of $100 versus going into the dealership. So on that note, we'll get started. Okay, now I don't have to compete with those wind chimes. As you saw before, had the tools already set aside. Basically, all you need for this is a screwdriver, a socket wrench with a spark plug socket, and a little bit of time and patience. So we shall get going now. Okay, before anybody gets started, you need what is called a feeler gauge. This is what you use to check your spark plug gap with. For this vehicle, the rating is 32 thousandths. I happen to have one that is the exact size for that. It is done as follows. Take your spark plug. This is the gap you care about. Put the feeler into the gap and you run it across. It should be, if it is correct, it'll slide in there easily but have a very slight drag as you're running it through. It should not be hard to place in there, and it should not be loose either. This one is pretty good, and you'll have to do this with every single spark plug you have. So you have a 4-cylinder, you do it 4 on all 4, 6 and 8 accordingly. Okay, I've checked all the gaps. They all look pretty good. A little thing to note, if they're a little loose, all you have to do is tap the spark plug lightly on a hard surface. Not real hard, you don't want to smash it, but just enough to kind of tap that in a little bit, and you recheck and repeat until you're happy with the result. If it's tight, you take the tip of a flat-bladed screwdriver and gently tweak on the electrode just little tiny amounts, and recheck again until you get the type of fit that is correct for that, until you get your correct gap. On this vehicle, the spark plugs are located in the valley, so that means I have to take off the air cleaner. That's a little bit of a process because they like to hide a lot of tubes underneath here, so I will get that off and we will get started and check and see what our plugs actually look like. Okay, we got the air cleaner off. One thing while we've got this apart, I will make note of. This is what you call a throttle body injected engine. That big thing you see right there in the middle, this is what the fuel injectors are. There's 2 of them in this vehicle. One is one that runs most of the time, and if you have another one that comes online if you want additional power. These are kind of a cross between a carburetor and the more now commonly used multi-point injection system. This is how they dealt with fuel injection right about the time they were transforming out of carburetors. So now we got the air cleaner off, we're ready to get the first spark plug out. Real easy to do. You just gently remove the wire, or not so gently if it sticks. Just like that. Reach down with your handy dandy wrench until it seats onto the plug. You'll know when it does. And then you just wrench it out. Okay, once in a while even simple jobs come with little surprises. The reason why I was having a little bit of trouble with that first spark plug, This little guy had fallen down in there and I was not able to get a bite on it. So wherever that came from, I'm not sure, but it's not there anymore. It brings up one more point. If you ever get a surprise like that, always make sure you blow out the hole. That way if there's any more little bits down there, you'll get them out. One thing you do not want to do when you go to take the spark plug out is get foreign material in there. It will score your cylinders. And that will be a bad thing because you'll start burning oil. So now back to getting the plug out. As soon as I remember where I put the wrench. So spark plug removal, take 2. Okay, that's the first spark plug out. Probably could be left in there longer, but since I went into the trouble, we will go ahead and replace all of them anyway, because I need to figure out why we are having random misfires at idle. But this is what you pretty much would like to see a spark plug look like. You don't want to see a bunch of black goop on there, you don't want to see oil on there, you don't want to see it bright white either. All of those indicates problems. Black is too rich, white can be too lean, and if you're having a head gasket problem, that where you're getting coolant in the cylinder, that would be absolutely spotlessly clean because you're basically steam cleaning your plug. So you kind of want to look like that when you take them out. Now on to the rest. One more point to note. One thing that I do to make this stuff simple is I replace one plug at a time. Bring out the old one, get your new one, put it in. This way, everything is done systematically. And when you're done, even though we're going to replace these, I'm still going to put these plugs back into its proper spot. Just not going to press them all the way down. And more on that one later. When you're putting in a new spark plug, always make sure you take the time to thread it carefully, because you do not want these to cross thread, because that will cause damage to your head. That's especially important if you have an aluminum head. They will strip out easily, and if you do that damage, you're going to be talking to the dealership to have a head rebuilt, and that turns a cheap job into an expensive one. So always make sure that you're careful and you do not over cross thread these or over tighten them. Good rule of thumb is when you do get them to bite and screw down, just snug them up real good. Just don't get crazy with it.